Welcome back to the Trailblzers podcast. Today is our 4th episode. We skipped last week because
just because. Just because.
We tried doing an episode on mental health and I couldn't get through it. So we decided not to put it out. We skipped a week and now we're doing this 4th episode. It's going to be coming out on Fridays now so that we have more time to edit it and everything, and get more clips because our clips have been doing pretty well. So,
yeah, they have.
Yeah. But all right, we're back. Same thing, mental health. That's today's topic. But how are you?
I'm good. I'm clearly having like an allergy crisis over here. I really don't know what it is. It might be the sweater, and my eyes right now. Zoom.
Oh shoot.
They're really.
We need to hire someone to zoom in and like start painting and everything.
They're really itchy.
Yeah. Those are eye drops, by the way. You weren't crying before this.
I was not crying. I promise.
It's
just like my allergies are so severe.
Yeah. But how's your past week been without an episode?
Honestly, like kind of weird because we definitely recorded, and I was like, okay, like maybe we should put it out. You know what? Actually, let's just like re-record the whole thing. Like, there's no point of publishing something and for it to not have the necessary impact that it deserves, especially mental health, because I feel like that's a very essential topic to what's going on, especially after the pandemic or even during the pandemic, because we're still in it.
Yep.
And it's just necessary to bring more awareness to it than kind of do it half-assed, if we're being honest.
Yeah. And I think it'll be good for people for anyone listening to just understand that there's a lot of people who go through it. Because sometimes when I'm going through things, I feel like there's no one that I can reach out to, and I feel really lonely. But and I also think that it's like it's a little bit embarrassing to talk about, or I feel that way, even though it's actually not. So I think it's very, very important for us to make it clear that it's not.
I agree with you. It's not embarrassing at all. And just because some people will make you feel less valid for something, it doesn't make it necessarily like unvalid. For example, like a lot of older adults, like our parents or our grandparents, they don't necessarily understand mental health because for them it has been such an unvalid topic, and it's been so like, oh, what are you talking about? Like, that's nothing. Like, that's something of these new ages. Yeah. But if you really sit down and you think about it, like, they've just pushed aside their feelings. And here we are, a generation that's actually trying to truly bring awareness to our emotions and how validating it is to make us all feel like we're worth it.
Yeah. And they say, oh, it didn't exist like 50 years ago, but
that's not true.
The way they raised their kids, they took it out on them, and now their kids have problems, and it's like, you didn't deal with it, and so you took it out on other people, and it got passed down through generations, and it affected other. Effect. Yeah. So just because they didn't want to deal with it or choose to deal with it for whatever reason. What?
We didn't do testing, by the way.
No, we didn't do testing. I trust this.
Okay.
I think. I see it. It's
camera recording.
Camera's recording everything.
I just ask because last time, after not recording for a solid hour, doing the best episode we've ever done.
Let's actually roll that right now. Because we tried recording. We recorded a whole episode. It was like 25 minutes in, and our episodes are only going to be like less than 30 minutes. And then I realized that we didn't record, so I'm going to put that right now.
Every time I felt like my breath was getting shorter and shorter, and I thought I was having an allergic reaction. Just as it's that time of year, and it really wasn't. It's just like the burden of your soul. We weren't recording. Get the out. This whole time. Juan, are you gonna cry? Are you serious? You're making a joke.
No. Why would I make a joke in the middle of it?
All of it?
Here's one for the kiddos.
None of it.
What's the easiest way to get straight A's? Use a ruler.
But yeah, this one's rolling. So that's
this one's
good.
rolling. Okay, just making sure. Don't want that to happen again.
This week was a tough one. I feel like
happened?
this one wasn't like this one's not going to be such high energy. But and by the way, that's one of the good things about this generation. Trailblazers, we're also exploring different avenues and different again, traditions, longer tradition. Things are no longer the same way. Because of us, we're making it that way. So I think it's important that we're going to bring awareness to it, of course. I'm not going to sit here and talk about like, oh, here's how you like deal with it or solve it, but I'm just going to talk.
I feel like there's no actual solution to it at the end of the day.
Yeah. I'm just going to speak anecdotally from my stuff. Yeah, this week started off obviously with the episode on Monday. And dude, that drained me so much. I was surprised to just even sit down and talk about my stuff with anyone other than my therapist was absolutely draining. And I trust you. And the guy was here watching, and that I don't think that had an effect. But every time I open up to anyone about anything related to like mental health or how I'm feeling, even though I sort of have this like perfect quote unquote life, I want to shut down. And I think this whole week I just shut down for the most part until Thursday. I sat down and talked with my parents, and it just like I opened up again completely. And there was a lot of crying. There was a lot of like, I'll say progress, but yeah, I shut down for the rest of the week for the most part. And so this week's been kind of low. I've had 3 months or 4 months of like doing pretty well mentally, because I've been obviously doing my therapy, and I've picked up all the good habits that you can possibly imagine. I've been working out, I've been training, I've been playing soccer, I've been going out with friends, I've been doing well at my job. I don't have any necessities, anything that I can complain about. But then this week it just hit me, so it's definitely weird to think about that. Doesn't matter what you do with your life. Doesn't matter if like you have all the good habits, all the self-help, everything. Doesn't really mean that you're gonna be happy or fully satisfied. What do you think about that?
I agree with that. I feel like there's no ultimate way to be satisfied with everything going on in your life, and you can be on the top of the pedestal and you can still be like, oh my God, like what's going on? Like, why am I not so ecstatic and happy about what I have in my life right now? It's not necessarily being ungrateful, but I just feel like it's a state of mind at times, and it's just like, okay, like something's coming, like it's like a little cloud that comes passing by and it just kind of hits you for a minute. It's a little rainy, and then in a few days maybe it'll clear up, or maybe there will be some what do you call that, like ashes. What do you call that?
I don't know.
There's a word for it. Like there will be something left of that, but at the end of the day, like there's nothing such as perfection. Like perfection does not exist. And you aren't required to be perfect. You're allowed to be human. You're allowed to feel your feelings. And so everything's just a step by step at the end of the day. And if you felt like everything was great and then everything came crashing down, that's not true. It's because you're just progressing. You're going through the steps. And sometimes some steps are harder than others. And it's not that, oh, you're not capable, but you can't always be so strong. You can't put on like a facade of something that you aren't always feeling. Like you're allowed to break down and be human.
Well, let's talk about that moment. What's that moment like of going through those like couple of hours where things are just completely gloomy? Let's close in on that.
Let's put ourselves in that.
Have you gotten that? Can you remember and like talk about that?
Yeah.
From any recent experience?
Let's think about it. Basically, every time I go away for a trip, I find myself having post-trip depression.
Really?
I know it sounds crazy.
I don't know about this, first of all.
You didn't know about this?
No, you
So
never,
every
told me
time
this.
I go away for a long period of time, or even I see a different way of living, every time I come back into the US and I go back to doing my classes online and I go back to waitressing on the weekend, I'm like, ugh, like, oh my God, like, why do I feel so drained? Like, why am I so unenergized? Like, why do I not want to be here when living in the US is also amazing? Like, the people I love are here. Like,
and you're in a good path. I'll give a little bit more context. You're a student who works 2 jobs, and you do everything. I think you have a very good balance of everything. You're on the path to becoming a lawyer, and I think that's something that a lot of people dream of. So that's a dream. That's insane. That's great.
It's definitely a goal.
But to feel that way, even on that path.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of our listeners are college students, and they're going to find themselves, if not now, in the future, or they've already went through something like this where they're making their future, they're working towards their future. They're at that point where the next couple of years is going to decide the entirety of the rest of their lives. They're going to want to give up. They're going to want to not do this assignment and that assignment, and their GPA is going to go down, and then they're going to think that their GPA affects their entirety of the future.
But that's a fact. Like, I hate to say it like that, but like, even sometimes I will be sitting there doing an assignment and I will get 0.5 points off for like not having done a single citation, doing everything else, not doing one thing. They take 0.5 points off and I'm like, oh my God, my GPA is going to go down. I'm not going to get into the school I want to. Like, what am I doing? Like, obviously, it's only human to feel that the rules of these universities where we want to attend are so rigid and they give no space for wiggle room. And it's just like, okay, either I stop making mistakes or I just keep working towards it. And it's all about like, okay, you know what? I got a bad grade on this. I will email the professor. I'll see if there's something I can do, or I will keep moving forward. And it's just like, you can't stay stuck in that moment, even though it is heartbreaking. Like, you put so much effort into that assignment. But I also think that's very aligned with like, there's something I've been learning about in world religions, and basically it's like Buddhism and Hinduism, and how one of the big things of the soul that's very harmful and is basically attached to your like suffering is literal attachment and desire. The more you desire something, the more tormented you are, because if you don't achieve that, the more you will feel like you're incapable of doing something. So in reality, like when I think about it, is that good or bad? It's obviously bad. Any type of attachment, in my perspective, is definitely bad, because attachment isn't good. Desire isn't good. And obviously desire is positive when you want to do something. But when you don't get what you desire, you feel heartbroken and incapable. But then doesn't that push you, having that desire and attachment push you towards... It absolutely pushes you. But if that's what we're talking about, like in a worldview, in a very Western civilization, like, okay, if you don't achieve this, you are not successful. Because that's kind of the way that we grow up. Okay, you in high school... straight A student, got into the track team, beat your time, you're amazing. You could get a hernia, you get a setback, you feel heartbroken. You're like, what happened to me? You know, it's all like that. It's all like you become so attached to your success that you forget to truly be human, to truly experience things, and to not allow things to define who you are. Because you're so much more than your achievements, and you're so much more than what you can do. You are more than the potential that you didn't take, in other words. Like quotation mark achievements and potential. Like, it's just like, how do you feel? Like, how does this affect you? Like, are you happy? Is this what you really want to do? Or is this what the world is telling you you have to do? Because we forget that not everything in life is set in stone, and you kind of set your own path. And you know what? If you want to take a break, if you want to start a business, if you want to start a photography business, if you want to start a podcast and you want to try to make a living out of that, do it, because that's what brings you joy. And at the end of the day, like, there's no point of living a life that doesn't bring you joy, even if you're broke. Like, you know what? Money isn't everything. And I bet you can talk to the most wealthy people in the world and ask them, are you happy? Yeah. The thing you said, if you want to take a break, if you want to do a podcast, if you want to do this and that, those are good things, and that's great. I agree with that. But there's no but. There's just an addition to that. Through this time that I've been away from school, my desire to go back to school and the hunger I've had to restart, like go back and pick up where I left off and continue my career and really just work towards that and have the passion and the emotion to truly do it, has grown so much. I agree. I've been doing things that I love, and I've completely been turned around from school and my major and this and that because I wanted a break and I wanted to explore other things. But your mother. But it's good. It shows you. It sort of gives you a clear head to just think. For a second, you're doing what you love only, and then you realize, oh well, I like this, but then turns out I also missed this one thing that I was doing, and now I realize which one I really want. And sometimes it's good. Flipping the coin. And sometimes, like people, if like someone else was in my position, they would maybe they would never go back to college after a break, because maybe they realize that they have a business idea that really worked for them, and they're passionate about it, and they want to pursue it, or this and that. But there are also so many different situations for taking a break. I feel like if you decide on taking a break, you should probably have a main idea of what it is you want to do. Mm-hmm. Because you also interact with people that take a break and then they're like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I think it's too late for me to go back to school.
Yeah.
So
it's never, by the way.
it's probably never, because if you go into a break and you don't have a plan of what you want to achieve, if you want to work on something or not, you're probably going to end up doing absolutely nothing with your life.
Yeah.
And I say that because you're going to start surrounding yourself with people that only decide to party, that only enjoy drinking, that only enjoy smoking weed.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not realistic about your objectives, you don't have one.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a sad truth.
As soon as I left, first, I knew I had the structure or like a plan in place for this entire time that I was away. I wasn't going to sit here on my ass not doing anything. As soon as I left, I got a job.
It's unlike you.
I started going in 70 hours a week, week after week after week, because it was just consuming me. I needed something to keep me busy and to have some structure in my life. And the job is the thing that really helped. And then all of the money that I made from the job, I invested into this idea, this hobby of mine, a podcast. And now we're here, and four episodes in with a good setup, everything's good. And I enjoy this. And then through that, I've gotten closer to you, who is a great influence on me, and any of your friends. But I've been able to find a lot of positive things just by doing something, which is the thing my mom always told me. It's like, you don't have to do anything specific. You don't have to follow a specific path that people tell you, but do something. Don't sit on your ass, because through doing something, you'll either find out what it is that you want to do or what it is that you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. I think that's really important.
Well, what's that like famous thing that people say? Like, you need something that'll intellectually stimulate you. You need something that'll move your body, and you need a hobby.
Okay, I got all of them.
So those are like the 3 essential things. I forgot where I read that. It might have been like some random self-help book.
Yeah.
But like, basically it's just like, okay, move your body, have a hobby,
and then stimulate
and
your brain.
just like learn something.
Mm-hmm.
So those are like the 3 rules of life in another way.
Bet.
And you know what? You've done great with all of that, especially like coming from like a structure where you felt like you couldn't like do it anymore. Like it was so unbearable for you, and you were able to turn it around and just like confront what was right in front of you.
I lost all of my structure. Like everyone who knows me at Columbia doesn't know who I am. Like, think of me now. I wasn't this person for the last 2 years of my life. It's only now that it's taken me 4 months of work to get to where I am again, where I feel like myself, where I'm happy, where I'm enjoying life. And sure, I have my days off, like my days where I'm down. But even those days, I wake up, I go on a run, I try to fight it every single day. And it's gotten to the point where I felt so lonely and so dark. But even on those days, my biggest advice would be to just get through those days.
I agree with that.
Because you might not see a way out. Let me speak about the specifics of what it's like to be in that moment. A moment of depression. You don't think rationally. You are not looking at your life at that point and analyzing everything and being thankful for this and that, and you don't see all the good things. You just don't think rationally. There's something about it that just overcomes you. And you feel. You don't think, you feel.
That's true.
And you feel so dark, and you want to, some people want to self-harm, some people want to do this, want to do that. I recommend you go to bed or watch a movie or distract yourself or go to your parents' room or something. Like, be with someone, call a friend, because there's going to be a better day ahead of you. It's going to be tomorrow, it's going to be the week after, it's going to be 2 months from that, or 2 years from that.
2 years, exactly.
Doesn't matter, but it's going to come.
And I just feel like in that moment of depression, when you just feel like you can't do anything, when your body just feels numb inside and out, the reason why so many people go to self-harming, which self-harming has many different ways, is drugs, alcohol, driving quick, like very fast,
which is something that I'm working on not doing. When I have those, I don't know, are they called episodes or moments? Those moments, I used to get in my car and go on the highway and drive a certain speed that I'm not going to say because I can probably get in trouble. But like that, I didn't see it as self-harm. I saw it as like trying to feel something.
I agree with that.
But at any moment at those speeds, you can get into a car accident and like
it'll be over, and you're really just like risking it.
Oh, I'm risking my life, but I'm also risking someone else's.
Exactly.
And there's just there's other ways. Like the other day, I just stayed home. Like I had one of those days, one of those nights. Oh, dude, I haven't felt that low in such a long time. And all I did was I sat on my couch and I watched a movie, and I was shaking. Like I wanted to go out and like
feel something.
And
but you know what?
And I just went to bed.
I'm just glad that you've built like a little system for yourself. Like, you know what? I'm not going to do it even though I want to do it.
My therapist helped me with that, by the way. Shout out to therapist. Shout out to asking for help.
Exactly.
Like seriously.
I mean, growing up, when I actually experienced my sort of self-harm was I would physically hurt myself, you know? And I remember just like wanting to feel something and just being so angry with myself that I wasn't capable of feeling something that moment. And I was like, why don't I feel anything? Why don't I feel it? Why doesn't this bring me some emotion to my body? So, you know what? I found a therapist. Yeah. And she recommended that every time I felt that way, since I've always been a writer, she said, every time you feel this way, write down your emotions. I was in 7th grade when I first started journaling. Mm-hmm. I have now been journaling consecutively for about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Saw your journal the other day. So it's great. I think it's great. Which is why I got my own.
So it's definitely something that there are different ways of dealing with things.
So many.
There's so many different ways, like running, exercise. Shout out to yoga.
You like? Yeah, I was gonna say you like yoga. That's not my
thing.
cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea, but it works for you. Doesn't work for me.
But I do hot yoga. Hot yoga is vigorous, and you were like sweating in a 106-degree room with 40% humidity, and you're just like trying to breathe. Just focus on your breathing. So it's definitely something, but it stimulates something in your body, and it brings relief with it. And overall, you just put yourself in a different mind state. And you know, Juan runs, but my cup of tea when I feel like I can't do it anymore is I push myself to get out of bed, and I get on my yoga mat and I take a class in like torturous degrees. But it's my cup of tea. It's my way of relieving myself from feeling that down. And it's that pushing myself through. Like there are days that I have walked into my yoga class and I have literally sat there in child's pose crying. I've just been in there crying. I'm like, I'm sorry. I say to the instructor, like, I'm sorry. Like, I just can't do it. I'm just going to lay here and cry. And she's like, it's okay.
That's great.
So it's exactly that. Everyone deals with things differently, but it's definitely having that one thing that you enjoy, or that 2 things or 3 things or 4 things, or that friend or that therapist or that pet or that something that'll help you push through.
Going back to the grades thing, I know this was a little bit ago, but you say these schools are very rigorous and they don't really leave space, like wiggle room. Not that I disagree with that, but there's always, like, what did you do the other day when you got some points taken off that you didn't think you deserved?
Oh, I emailed my professors.
And who ended up being right?
I did.
Exactly.
But I did that, and then other professors, like, they completely ignore what you're saying. So it's like, okay.
Okay, sure. Some are hit and miss. But my point is, you can, at least from my experience in the last 2 years of going through college at one of the most rigorous universities in the whole world, is an email might change everything. It might help you so much. Like, they are humans. These professors are people. They are understanding. A lot of them. Some are assholes, sure. But for the most part, an email explaining your situation and giving context as to why you submitted something 30 minutes late. Sometimes they run with that. They look at that and they're like, okay, I understand. Because guess what? They were in your shoes at one point.
Yeah.
So there's no wiggle room, sure, for a lot of, especially if you want to get into top tier schools. But there might be. Like, you can ask. There's always a way out. And asking, number one, asking for help when you're depressed. And if you're having trouble with school, asking for help to your professors or your guidance counselor. And if you're having trouble with both, asking your counselor and your professors. And then meeting with, like, for me, my coaches, and just letting everyone know what my situation is, where I'm at.
What you did?
Yeah. it took me a year and a half to like tell everyone, everyone that mattered or that could have helped me, my coaches, my counselor, and my professors. A year and a half of me just bottling up the way I felt and just pretending that I was fine, and refusing to seek help from a therapist, from anyone.
Did anyone ever notice?
No, I don't think so, because
I remember you told me one night. I remember I had gone out there to visit you, and I remember we were on FaceTime, and you were like, Kat, I don't feel too good. And I was like, wait, what's wrong? Like, what's going on? You're like, I just don't feel good. It's like, okay, let's talk. And I remember we stayed on FaceTime for a bit, but you weren't really specific.
Remember you visited me for like
right before the pandemic, when we were both like super sad.
Yeah. For like 4 days you were there. Dude, I don't think I like smiled throughout that whole thing, and you noticed it. You were the only. Okay, so that's what I'm getting at. You were the only one who noticed it because you knew me before college.
Yeah.
Everyone who knows me in college just met the post mental health problems version of me.
Yeah.
They don't know what I'm like when I'm good, or
because you're like always smiling. You're always like, your energy is always high, and you're always so proactive, and you're like, yeah, let's do this. Yeah, let's do that. Like,
but I lost that, and so no one noticed because they didn't know anything other than what I was in college. But you noticed because you knew me before. No one else did, and I don't know. It's good that you were there. I was very happy that you were there. I just didn't show it because I couldn't.
That's okay. I remember I was super sad that time I was there too, and I remember I sat on the steps of I don't even know what building that is, but I sat on the steps and I read a whole book. I was so sad that was my escape, and that's why I see myself going there, because it brings that ease to me that I have never felt anywhere else. And it's just like, I remember just having you there, and we both had our little meals together, and we just spent our time together, and all we did was like talk, and like, even though you were sad, like, you still interacted with me, and like, you did your own thing.
My way of showing you that I care about you, which sometimes I'm not very good at, is just letting you come and stay with me for 4 days, even though I had a million things going on. Because I
was like, all right, go have fun.
Yeah, and you were very understanding of that, which is, by the way, why our friendship works so well, because you are very understanding of a lot of things, and so am I with you. And so it was nice to have you there, and also for you to understand, like, I have things to do.
And that was the last time we saw each other for a while.
Yeah.
Because then the pandemic hit, and then during the pandemic, I don't even remember what happened.
Yeah, we just didn't see each other that much. I don't know.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk that much.
We didn't talk either.
Yeah.
Wait, that was like the dark ages.
And it was
we went completely dark.
Yeah.
Don't remember anything about that. There's nothing from that time. Like, what happened?
I don't know. I was just doing my thing.
But what was my thing? What was I doing? I think I was just working constantly, and I got into a relationship.
Yes, there we go.
And I think first round around that relationship was like not the happiest, because
I don't know.
Like, I'm just saying, because like I pushed away my friendships. I pushed away all my friendships, and then like we tried it all over again. And you know what? We figured it out.
I'm really glad that he's cool with you having friends, because you're the type of girl who needs a boyfriend like that, where like, hey, I got my things to do. I'm definitely more social, and like I try to be social. Like, I'm not like a big circle type of person, because I'm very selective about who I like in my life. Yeah. But still, again, like, I like having a few friends that I can be like, oh, what are you doing? Do you want to do brunch together? Yeah. Do you want to go have a picnic? What are you doing? Want to go bowling? So I feel like it's always good to have that understanding too. And like not allowing to be yourself to be controlled. Yeah, you hate that.
That's just the thing about me. Yeah. I'm just not a person that can be controlled. And other than that, like, it just can't be good for you. Mm-hmm. And that definitely pushes you somewhere dark too, if you allow someone else to gain control over your life instead of you maintaining that.
All right. So we talked about going through the motions when you're in that mental state. We talked about how it's not logical. When you're in that mental state, you're not thinking rationally, and that's okay. And you can just get through it. Try not to do anything crazy. You can reach out to someone. Also, when you're in a situation with your grades, reach out to your professors, to your counselor. If you're in a situation of mental health, reach out to someone who's going to guide you in the right direction. We talked about all those things. Now, what about your environment? The people you surround yourself with. How important do you think that is?
I think that's essential to anything. Everything in life is all about who you surround yourself with, where you go to school, what athletics you do, what your hobbies and the people that are there do, if there are even hobbies in your life. And if you aren't doing hobbies, who is there? What is your family circle like? Do you have any support? Do you not? Do you have friends? Are they positive influence, or do they lead you towards doing negative things? Camera cut, changed, allergies, allergic to my sweater. So here we are again.
With a new one.
A new one. So basically, yeah, environments. The people that you surround yourself with definitely have an impact on you. So I always grew up with the one saying that, like, oh, if you sleep with dogs, you're going to wake up with fleas, or one rotten apple is going to rot the rest.
Tell me who your friends are. Show me who your friends are, and I'll show you who you are.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who you are.
And yeah, exactly. And not to the most part, but if everyone shares the same quality, like if everyone only enjoys going out and drinking and smoking and doing drugs, like you're probably going to end up bound to doing that, because you have more of an access to doing those negative things. If you didn't have those people around you, it wouldn't even be a thought in your brain.
I've seen that happen to a lot of people in college. They join frats. They're on athletic teams, but then they join a frat and they go crazy. They completely change, and now their trajectory in life just is
everything just changes with that.
Completely different direction.
And I agree with that. I just think that definitely who you have in your life creates an impact on you, especially like your family, your surroundings, your friends, your work environment. Like if your work environment makes you feel toxic, like you're going to end up being a little more sad. You're going to end up letting that affect you a bit more. If you have friends that aren't uplifting and aren't motivating you, they're doing the opposite of that, and they're bringing you down as well. So I feel like there's that song. Who's that song by? It's like, oh, he holds me back or something. Like, I don't even remember the song. But the point of the song is kind of like, don't be with someone that holds you back. Instead, be with someone that lets you fly and really explore who you are. So if you're sad, you kind of need a support system. And it's all about having the right people around you in a way, or choosing who you classify as the right person for you. What do you think?
I talked to my parents about this. Because I've had certain people who I've been friends with for years that I realized that it's been like a year or 2 years where like they haven't brought anything into my life at all. Like if anything, they've just brought negative thing or just things that are completely neutral. There's no progress being made in any sort of way, which I have a very high tolerance for. Like I don't mind sticking with you through like tough times for a very, very long time, but it comes to a point where if it's affecting me, I don't want to say like I cut them off, because this is what my parents told me. They were like, they might be going through a tough time too. And if they are, and it's a prolonged period of time of like a tough time, you don't necessarily have to cut them out, but you can distance yourself a little bit. And then if it takes, if there's a point in time where they change, and if they sort of get a wake up call, that way, if you don't cut them off and you just distance, that way you're still available. Just in case like they come back, they turn things around, and then that way they're more open, more receptive to positive influence. Whereas maybe for 2 years they weren't. And maybe you distancing yourself from that person might give them a wake up call, like, hey, there's changes that need to be made. But I would like to be available for a very prolonged period of time. For as much as I would like to just cut things off, because I'm very like 100% or like 0%, my parents told me the opposite. They were like, let it play out. It's okay to distance yourself, but not end the friendship.
I feel like there's a middle point for everything.
Yeah.
And regardless, over the years, when I really think about this one friendship that I have in mind, we haven't always been like besties. We've had our ups and downs. Maybe I haven't been treated the right way all along. Maybe I've been treated like what I've done, it hasn't been enough for that person. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, all right, I'm not going to text you. And maybe you shouldn't text me either until you really realize what you've done wrong. So it's all about like definitely allowing that person to reflect. And I'm not going to be like, hey, listen, I'm done being friends with you. Like, what are we, like 5 years old? That's not how it works. It's just like, all right, we don't talk again. And even one of my really close friends, we don't speak for a while, then we see each other and we're best friends. Even just like you and I.
You and I did that for a year.
We don't see each other. We come back. We're like, bro, guess what? So it's exactly like that. Like, I don't cut people off. It's like you distance, you're working, you're doing your own thing. You kind of like make your own decision. Okay, we'll come back when time is right. And that goes for everything. You don't have to be like so black and white about things. There's always a middle point.
Yeah, that's something that I'm like never been good at. Just not being black and white.
I'm very much about like balancing things out. Like, I try my best to be as balanced and like keep everything very neutral. Even if I do feel a certain way, I just like kind of let go of that emotion. I'm very much like centered on the emotion of like letting things go. And it's just kind of like something new that I picked up, and it gives me some sanity. It's like let go of things that don't allow you to evolve, but not by cutting them off, by just essentially in your soul being like, I'm okay with that and it doesn't burden me.
Yeah, I can learn that from you. That's one thing that I can, out of the many things that I can learn from you. So I'll definitely be taking that into consideration.
I get that.
I think this was good.
I think this is good. Good.
I think there's things that, we just spoke anecdotally. And if there's anything to take away, you can. I hope there was. But at the end of the day, we're just two college kids. And, we're going through the same thing that everyone who's watching is. And I'm sure there's at least maybe one thing that they can take away from us. And I'm sure there's a million that we can take away from them, the people that we meet day to day. So
let's just learn from each other.
Yeah.
That's just what it's about.
I'm very happy we did this one.
I'm really glad that we were able to redo this and just kind of talk about how we all experience different things and how certain things affect us and like where we are, how we feel almost, what the daily burdens are for college students almost in a way, to not let yourself be taken over by what other people expect from you, but to be on your own path and to be on your own jam and to do your own thing.
Yeah.
Just like do what makes you happy.
There we go.
I know it sounds kind of crazy, but that's what it's about, guys.
Cheesy, but that's
cheesy.
Great. All right. This has been episode 4.
Episode 4. Thank you for listening, guys.
Have a nice rest of your whatever. We'll see you guys in the next one next week.
Bye.
All right. Peace out.